Hey internet, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my February bullet journal setup video for you. And I feel like the obvious theme for February would have been Valentine's Day, but I'm really trying to steer clear away from the most obvious themes this year. So I decided to go for something still pink, and those are pourings. So I don't know if you guys have heard of them before, but if you've ever played a game called Ragnarok Online, which is a Korean-based MMORPG, then you'll definitely have heard of pourings, because pourings are basically the easiest, the smallest, I don't know, whatever it is. It's like the most beginner, noobish monster that you would kill when you first enter the world of Ragnarok. I'm going to link the title of it down below so that you can go Google it if you want to learn more about it. But yeah, I've always loved the pourings. They were just one of the cutest monsters. To be honest, I think I love lunatics as well. There's just so many adorable characters in Ragnarok. I personally, in case you're interested, I've always either played a wizard or a priest. I don't know, I always love taking on the skill sets or job of a DPS that doesn't have to be directly involved in the actual battle, which is kind of a representation of my personality and life, to be honest. So I've just taken a lot of different elements from the pouring species. You'll notice that there's a lot of different versions of it. I'll also have like purpuring, marine, and a couple others that you'll see listed out, which is basically the shape of a pouring, but they're like more high level monsters and different elements and stuff like that. I also kind of took elements of angeling as well. Really sorry if this doesn't make sense. If you haven't played Ragnarok, then this just sounds like different sort of character names, but they essentially are just different monsters. So for this particular spread, I really wanted to keep it light pink. I didn't want to link it too much to Valentine's Day or romance or anything, so I thought cute pink was kind of cool. And I decided to use watercolor pencils. I'm just really obsessed with watercolor pencils right now. I don't know why. I just find them so fun to play with. And it really gives me the option of either they can just be normal color pencils, or I can add a little bit of water with my water brush and they become this really nice watercolor painting, but without the crinkling of the paper, if that makes sense, because I'm not going to be constantly dipping in and out of paint, so I'm not introducing a lot of new water. So that usually helps keep the paper pretty straight, if that makes sense. I know that a lot of people mention they don't like adding watercolors to their bullet journal because it crinkles the paper, but I think if you do it this way, you'll experience very minimal crinkling. I think you still have a little bit depending on how liquid your water brush is, but it's pretty good. So you also notice I went ahead and did the title for the whole page, and I really wasn't happy with it. To be honest, my Tombow marker, which I've been using probably for 3 years now, is really on its last leg. Like, the pigmentation is still really great, so I'm going to keep it for that. But the brush tip is not at all fine. It's become really wonky and really soft. So it ends up being that when I do calligraphy, there's a similar thickness throughout the entire thing, so you don't get that thin lines, thick lines. So I think I'm just going to stop using my Tombow marker for any calligraphy going forward, because I decided to try and retrospectively add thinner lines with using a little bit of whiteout, a little bit of white markers, just kind of a combination of them. And honestly, I just don't think it looked very good in the end. I think from a distance you can kind of see what I was trying to do, but when you look up close, it just kind of looks like a mess. And honestly, I was actually considering just cutting this part out altogether and not showing you guys. And then I thought, you know what? I don't know if it's just me, but I am not perfect at all, and like clearly not perfect at all when it comes to bullet journal layouts. But I feel like there's this unspoken pressure to always have beautiful pages in your bullet journal, like especially when you go on Instagram. Everything just flows, fits together so well, and it's kind of like this never-ending effort to reach perfection in your bullet journals. And I just want to be transparent about the fact that I screw up my pages a lot, and I'm okay with that because they're functional and I have so much fun doing it. Okay, so now we're onto the habit tracker, and honestly there's nothing super different about my habit tracker versus all the other months. They're pretty much very similar in terms of template, but the styling changes just a little bit. You'll notice that for the title, I instead used my Tombow Fudenossuke pen. It's a really great brush pen and it gives you a lot of good control when you want to do calligraphy. I just wish that sometimes I could make the lines a little thicker, so I think I need to kind of play around. I find using pure brush pens really challenging because they're so flexible. At least for me right now at my skill level, it's way too much flexibility. I need something a little stiffer so it kind of restricts me from going too crazy. One of the things you'll notice about my habit tracker is I decided to stop tracking my hydration. Honestly, I've been drinking so much recently that I didn't think there was much point anymore. So I decided to add reading in instead because I'm trying to read a lot more. We are now in February and I've started 3 books and I haven't finished any of them. And for some reason, I still think I can hit my goal of 24 books by the end of this year, which I still think I can do it. Like, I'm pretty confident. And then at the bottom, I didn't really know what to do with the bottom. I wanted to draw a pouring, but I feel like I'm going to be drawing pourings throughout the entire month. So I just put some green down. I guess it's kind of like grass. I don't know if I like it in the end, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a bullet journal. I'm just experimenting. Over on the next side with a very similar style, I've put down my mood tracker. And I decided to fill this page with a bunch of pourings. However, I think I used the wrong Sakura pen because the main Sakura pen, felt tip pen that I usually use, it's kind of gone bad now in that it's too hard. The tip itself has gotten too hard. You'll notice in a previous haul video I had, I can't use it at all. So I've started using the new felt tip pens that I purchased. But I keep getting confused with which one is a thicker tip and which isn't because I don't take the time, the half a second it takes just to look at the lid. I just grab the first one I see because I've always only just had one in my collection and now I have like 6 in my collection, so I always tend to grab the wrong one. And so you notice my little pourings are all a little thin at the moment, but then I grab the right one later on and I'll thicken the lines. But yeah, it's pretty standard. I usually represent 4 emotions when it comes to my mood tracker. So I'm going to use pouring as my happy color and my happy face. That's the good thing about this one, is that there's a color and a face associated with each pouring. And then for the one that's just meh, I'm going to be using drops, which is the orange pouring that you usually find in the desert. And for the one that's really sad, it's going to have a sad face, I'm going to actually base it off marine or marins. I'm not really sure how you pronounce their name. And then the last one is the angry one. I guess I could have used a red pouring, but there isn't really a red pouring. There's just the pink one, which is as close to it, but I feel like pink one is just way too happy. So I decided to go and use purpuring, which is the poison version of pouring. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but pouring is basically like a really cute jelly-like monster. And throughout the game, they just bounce around the whole time, but they love collecting loot. So if you drop items on the floor, a pouring will literally just loot you and go and pick up all your items. But then if you kill a pouring, it explodes and all the items it's collected is there for you. So yeah, I don't know why I decided to mention that, but I thought it was a cute, fun fact. And now we're on to the monthly view. You're going to notice that I've generally cut down on the number of pages that I have for each month. I think I just wasn't finding the previous pages as useful. I don't know if I was creating them for the sake of having them, but I'm really trying to focus on just having pages that make sense to me and how I work. And that could completely change in the coming months. I have no idea. I mean, that's the great thing about a bullet journal. There is no set, fixed template. You can just do whatever you want. And so every day, every month is a new month and a new change. We're doing a lot more home renovation work this month. We're actually getting people to come out and start figuring out what things need to be done first in terms of what is going to suit our budget and what order of things, because there's a lot of work we want to do. I want to renovate pretty much the entire house to some degree, to be honest, but I can't afford to do that all in one hit, and I don't think it makes sense either. So I'm really excited because it means we might be able to actually start something in the next coming months or something like that. It just feels a lot more real, and that just makes me really, really excited. So I think in my bullet journal, you're going to notice a lot more home renovation sort of pages. Probably not for the month of February, but maybe for March I might have a page where I start going through all the stuff I need for my kitchen, because I think the kitchen is going to be the first one that I want to get done, just because it's kind of the heart of the home. And so once that's done, I feel like I can really start setting up my appliances and figuring out how I'm going to work in the kitchen. And I know Tobias is actually pretty keen to start filming videos in the kitchen because he loves cooking and all that sort of good stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I decided to go ahead and put a pouring down on the bottom right hand corner. I love the little band-aids. In the game itself, pourings don't have band-aids on their heads. That's just more in the artwork, but I thought it was a really cute touch, so I decided to put it in. And if you're wondering why I drew an apple, it's because the apple is the main item that the pourings drop when you break them open. Oh, it sounds so terrible, because when you hit them, and they lose all their HP, they burst, just like you would assume like jellies burst or something like that. And so apples or jalopies, I never know how to say them properly because I just see the text all the time, but I never actually say it out loud. Jalopies or apples are usually the things they drop. So yeah, I thought the apple was kind of a cute concept. So that is pretty much my entire spread. I know it's pretty simple, but if you haven't played Ragnarok, then this just might seem like really weird blobs that I'm drawing all over my spread. But I hope you enjoyed it anyways. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is Celina reporting from my room. Back to the internet.